So, since I posted my analysis video for the Birth MV, I read a lot of comments on the my and other theorists' videos and thought, well, why not make another video talking about some details that seem to have caused a lot of controversies in the Lorbit community. Let's start off easy. What kind of color is the arrow in the drawing? So there have been a lot of discussions around the color of the arrow. There even was a Lorbit that asked the artist, and they said that it probably is purple, but seemingly they weren't so sure either. But I feel like color picking is not the best solution here. Since I did a lot of thinking and theorizing on all of the details in the MV, I didn't pay this detail much attention, but since then this has gotten even more interesting to me. In the past I already talked about the inconsistencies in the members' colors. Jinsol having a really light blue in the mix and match teasers, Yeojin having orange, blue and yellow teasers, or Cherry having a cooler toned purple in the Jinsol and Cherry teaser. And this is something that I've noticed with the member teasers for this comeback as well. Jinsol's blue is a lot lighter now, and Cherry's purple is a lot more lighter and cool toned. And this arrow does look a little more blue than a regular purple, but Cherry's teaser does as well. In the past, my theory for this was that the girls influence each other's colors. They mix and match, all pun intended, and become different colors as an effect of this. Haeju's color is a dark gray, but her CD for the Go On and Haeju album is silver. So Haeju being together with Go On makes her color lighter, probably because Haeju becomes a happier, lighter person around Go On. And this is a really interesting detail because the colors were changing around a lot, especially in the pre and post debut times. While Cherry had a really saturated and red-ish purple for the XX and plus teasers and MVs, her pre-debut purple was a lot more light and cool toned. Now for this new subunit, her color is getting even closer to blue. And I feel like they're definitely trying to tell us something with this. Now you might say, what if Cherry has a cool toned purple as her color, because this is such a sad and cold timeline? And yeah, that could be the case, but I feel like it is way more likely that this is because of Cherry's connection to Jinsol in this timeline. We saw the two of them having a closer bond in the Alphas 1 MV, so to me the theory of Cherry's color being more cool toned because she is closer to Jinsol doesn't seem so far-fetched. And on the other hand, Jinsol's blue color also got a little bit lighter in this comeback. And to me this feels like another hint at the fact that they are not really the same members that we saw in the past. Other than that though, it could also be a callback to mix and match, since her color was quite light in that version as well. But let's just get back to the arrow thing. This is a cool toned purple, and you can even call it blue if you like to. But it doesn't really matter much, because this is definitely Cherry's new color. So this is not really a connection to Jinsol but to Cherry. So if you believe that this is a blue tone, then Cherry's new color is blue, which wouldn't really make much sense, so to me this is definitely a cool toned purple but still a purple. I feel like this is supposed to let us know that this goddess is trying to send the deer thing to a different realm, since Cherry is associated with traveling the different realms of the Looniverse. Because think about it, if the arrow would have just been in black and white, then nobody would have bat an eye and thought, well, she is shooting the deer. But nobody would have questioned why she does this. And now, because of the purple, everybody is theorizing about the reason for this arrow being purple. So this has to have a deeper meaning, and it has to do with killing or shooting the deer. So next up, what in the MV is real and what is inside their heads? I feel like this is a little difficult to answer. It is not really a black and white, this is a vision and this is not situation. I feel like most things in the MV are not just literally happening. Like the members are sitting all together in the train, but we do not get to see them all together until the ending. To me this feels like the whole MV is kind of like a bad dream. There's the belief of different states of mind, and while you're asleep you basically can communicate to your unconscious. So what if the members are sleeping in the train, like we can kind of see in the ending, when Hazel and Kimlip close their eyes, and their unconscious is showing them metaphorical visions of the future or past. So to me this unconscious could be Artemis. Hazel said in the behind the scenes video that the members are kind of like parts of Artemis' ego, which is definitely interesting wording since the YYY members were described as the ego of a being called YYY. And now again we have a group that is named after somebody and the members are their ego. So what if Artemis is trying to tell them that she is part of them and that there's going to be an imposter coming for them that will try to take over the members? Being reborn is not necessarily to be taken literally here. In Christianity, for example, there's the belief that once you're baptized, you are basically reborn. So what if the members are not reborn as babies, but more so that their minds are wiped clean and that they now serve under a different god / ethereal being? Then this Artemis could be worried about the members being taken over by this evil identity. And then the more abstract the imagery gets, the more it comes from Artemis, their unconscious. Like the members are trying to run away from the light being in their dreams, because it shows them these horror movie-like scenes. And then the train would be another interesting detail, since the members could be trapped in this limbo kind of dream that they can only leave once they accepted their fate. Because people that died and are not yet finished or done on Earth yet are trapped in limbo. So maybe the members are trapped in limbo, or are dreaming, or maybe they just were literally reborn, but more on that later. So, who is the light being? And the members reacted to the MV and said this is Artemis, so does this change anything about my theory? To get this out of the way, I don't really know how much we can take the things the members say and apply them to the lore one-to-one. I mean, don't get me wrong, I don't think that the members are lying about these details or anything, but I honestly just wonder how much the members even know about the lore. Like in the past, the members talked about the lore in behind-the-scenes videos, but any and every time they did, the people editing the videos had to clarify afterwards that this is not confirming anything, and even the members themselves said time and time again that they don't really know much more than the fans know. So long story short, I don't know how much they know and how much we can take the things they say for granted. Second of all, I do believe that this is supposed to be Artemis, but we just don't know if this is the real or the imposter Artemis. I mean, I don't even know if this is really taking place or if this is just inside of the members' heads. So the members saying that this is Artemis basically doesn't make any of this easier to understand. Because again, this could be Artemis, but it could be a vision or it could be a dream, which then again would not really clarify anything for us. But I do have to say that this could change some of my theories in the future, depending on what the next teasers and MVs are telling us. I already tried to think about what this detail would change about my theory, and I mean, it could mean that Artemis might not even have died. It could mean that these scenes with her being 5 pieces are just metaphorically letting us know that the Artemis members are all part of the Artemis goddess. But I feel like this would complicate so many things in the lore, so I am keeping this out of my theories for now, until it might make sense in the future. And now onto the "what do you think about this connection?" questions that some of you asked me in the comment section. So, what do you think about the Silent Hill connection? First of all, this is no hate towards Moonfall at all. I really like their take on the Looniverse. I just want to comment on the Silent Hill connections they made in their birth analysis video, because I am a really big Silent Hill fan. But you can definitely check out their video as well for more Looniverse content. So let's maybe start with a little "what is Silent Hill" recap. Silent Hill is a video game series about a man called Harry Mason that together with his wife found a baby on the side of the road. To explain to you why a baby is on the side of the road, I would also have to talk about the Silent Hill Origins game, and I won't, so side of the road baby it is. Don't question it. So his wife dies, and after 4 years together with Cheryl, the road baby, they decide to take a vacation in Silent Hill. Late at night while driving, Harry sees a teenage girl cross the road. He later on finds out that this is Alessa. Because of this, Harry crashes his car, and when he wakes up, Cheryl is missing. Now we just skip most of the game. One interesting detail is that in this game there is a demon, parasite kind of monster, that infects people and makes them do their biddings as well. So this could be a connection to the Birth MV, but I don't know. Now we find out that Cheryl is one half of Alessa's soul. How is that? Well, when Alessa was young, she developed some magical powers, which then made others bully her and call her a witch. Her mother, a crazy medium lady and part of the cult of the Order, decided to sacrifice her daughter for the Order. The Order had taken a lot of girls and tried to impregnate them with their god, but it had always failed. Now Alessa's mother tried during the ritual and caused a fire that burned Alessa, but she survived through the help of their god, since the god didn't want to die themselves. But this was too much for Alessa. She took a small part of her soul and sent it away, so that the ritual could never be completed, and so that a little part of herself could have a happy life. But through everything she had to go through, she called out for Cheryl, her other half, and through this they reunited. Now that Cheryl was back in the town, the Order could finish what they set out to do. But Harry tries to stop them, Because of Alessa's mother tricking him, he is unable to stop the god from being reborn though. The first thing the incubus does is to kill Alessa's mother with lightning. Then Harry fights the monster, and after defeating it, Alessa appears for a last time, giving Harry a baby that is the reincarnation of both Cheryl and Alessa. This baby later on becomes the protagonist of the third game, and she is called Heather. Interestingly enough though, Silent Hill is one of the first games that has a dream ending, meaning that everything that happened in the game was but a bad dream. Nowadays it kind of became a trope, but for the late 90s that was still a fresh concept. So the whole theme of rebirth in the game does seem to be at least connected to the Birth MV somewhat, since in this MV we see the members symbolized as part of Artemis through her being in 5 pieces. And also their group name is not Artemis but Artemis, and in this way they shortened the name to be a 5-letter name. Again showing us that the number 5 is important. So maybe just like Alessa split her soul into 2 pieces, Artemis could have done the same thing but into 5 pieces, so the 5 Artemis members. I also have to say that this is just generally a really interesting comparison, since the light being in Silent Hill does look like a divine creature before it is sprayed with aglyphotis and it reveals its demonic form. This is kind of like the light being in the Birth MV also having this creepy chimera kind of form. And again, both Artemis and Silent Hill having themes of rebirth and false gods that act divine while they're devilish is just really interesting to compare the two. About the aglyphotis, I feel like I really am not pronouncing this properly, I'm sorry. But this is a medical herb that is used to shield a person that summons demons, and it supposedly grows in the desert. In the Silent Hill series, it is a red liquid that has the ability to dispel demonic forces and protect you from supernatural beings. The interesting thing about this is that this red liquid could also explain what Hassel is drinking in the MV. I mean, we all theorized about what this red liquid is, if it is blood or just wine, but I mean, it is kind of a light red shade, so it could fit into this being some kind of magical drink, like aglyphotis, but who knows. Now, I do feel like the members could be studying the dark arts, maybe even under the light being, since they have this yearbook photo together, so this could be a witch's coven. But I feel like the comparison of the members and the townspeople in Silent Hill, who sacrificed a bunch of young girls to a demon to get something in return, is a little over the top for me. While some of the comparisons are interesting, I don't really like the idea of the members giving into their temptations. In Silent Hill, the townspeople are made out to be greedy villains, which I mean they are. There isn't really one person in Silent Hill that is a good person per se. They're all complicit in taking the lives of young girls just to summon a demon that they want to make a deal with. But I feel like the members aren't really that evil, at least not on purpose. While I do believe that they killed Artemis, I don't think that they knew what they were doing. It is a bit like Harry. He tries to help out the people in Silent Hill because he believes in the goodness of people. But in the end, almost every person uses his kind-heartedness against him. I mean, he even ends up causing the demon god's birth, but not because he wanted to, you know? I mean, I don't know, but I feel like the members being okay with sacrificing someone or something for their own good would not fit together with them crying at the end. Why would they cry if they did what they did on purpose? I just don't feel like the ARTMS members are like evil or bad people. And I mean, in the Looniverse this far there wasn't really one bad guy. It was more so that every person has a good and a bad side to themselves, and it is their decision to, well, be either good or bad. And I feel like to make the members bad people now would just kind of go against this whole idea of choosing your own fate / destiny and becoming the kind of person that you want to be. But I mean, on the other hand, not all of the MVs are released yet, so I can't tell you if this is the case or not. So next up, do you think that this deer chimera being could be the forest spirit from the Princess Mononoke movie? First of all, the forest spirit / Shishigami from Mononoke is based on an actual Japanese mythology. In Japan, people believe that forests are a spiritual place with kami / gods living there. In this case, the forest spirit is known as the god of life and death. It can transform into a night walker, also known as Daidarabochi. These are giants that create lakes with their footsteps and move mountains. One of the characters in the movie believes that eating the spirit's head would grant immortality, since the being is immortal and repeatedly is reborn, especially on new and full moons. The spirit can also heal wounds and illness, but it can also take away a living thing's life force by touching or breathing on it. I mean, it basically is the same mythology about unicorns and about Artemis. They can give and take life away as well. I mean, Artemis is the goddess of childbirth and of illness. So there definitely could be a connection there, but I feel like it doesn't really change a lot about my theory, since it still serves the same purpose. Other than this, you could of course say that this being is a good and kind forest spirit and this being is the evil Artemis. So basically the forest spirit, unicorns and Artemis all have this duality of good and evil aspects. Childbirth and illness, giving and taking away life. So, moving on. Next up, a little bit of a more serious but still interesting question / theory. A person under my last video had the theory that the deer looking strange could be because of bone cancer. And what you might not know, some scientists believe that the antlers of deers are basically a controlled form of bone cancer growth. And this could then be the reason why deers can shed their antlers every now and then and still grow them back. It is an interesting theory because it would explain the strange look of the deer head, but it wouldn't really explain the pimples the deer has on its ears, for example. But to stay with the deer symbolism for a moment, Celtic folklore has several stories involving deer as spiritual figures. In some Scottish and Irish tales, deers are seen as fairy cattle and are herded by otherworldly women, who can shapeshift into the form of a red or white deer. Does this sound kind of familiar? An otherworldly woman turning into a deer? And while we're talking about this, there also is Amalthea, a Greek goddess that supposedly raised Zeus. She can turn into a goat, but fun fact, in the movie The Last Unicorn, she can turn into a unicorn. But again, gods turning into animals or shapeshifting is just something that happens a lot of times in mythology. Now onto some things that I have noticed since my theory video. What about the drawings being prophecies? And what is the connection of the prophecies? Unicorns are connected to knowing and telling the future. What if the deer thing is actually the real goddess that tries to warn the members? Then it would also make sense why we see this deer in this kind of drawing style, because these drawings could be the prophecies that the deer being is trying to tell the members. In every drawing that we see, the goddess has a unicorn horn. So there definitely is a separation of the real members meeting the light being, and these drawings in which they meet a woman with a unicorn horn. So maybe Artemis, the light being, could have killed the deer goddess that tried to warn the members about something. I mean, this would be another interesting way to look at things. And to just quickly get back to the Dall, Divine All Love and Live title, Thea, the goddess and mother of Helios, the sun, Selene, the moon, and Eos, the dawn, is called Thea in Greek, which means as much as goddess or divine. But her alternative names also includes brightness. She is the goddess of sight, vision, prophecies, and shining things like silver and gold. Sometimes she is described as a being made out of light. This would also underline the theory of these being visions, because this could also indicate that this being is beaming her prophecies straight into the members' eyes. I mean, in the behind the scenes video, Jinsol is talking about having to keep her eyes opened, right? So what if she has to keep her eyes opened in order for her to see these visions? And then Hassel lighting a match and revealing another prophecy could be interesting, because the lyrics talk about illusions and then the sentence sheds light to my manipulated memories. So this could be a hint at the fact that Hassel's match sheds light to one of these manipulated memories. But that's just a theory, a Luniverse theory. Now, do the girls have albinism, and what is the meaning of albinism in mythology? In the teaser images, the girls all have blonde hair, and not only does this make them look united and uniform, they also look ethereal, like otherworldly women or like angels, since angelic beings in the past were often portrayed to be blonde with pale skin. But this is also the case for people with albinism, and these people were often treated differently in the past, but also nowadays. Till this day, there is the belief, in some parts of the world, that people with albinism have special powers. There was the belief that people with albinism were the spawn of Satan, just like left-handed people, but also that eating a part of an animal with albinism can have magical or healing effects. I mean, you can even see this in movies like Village of the Damned, where the children of evil aliens turn out to all have blonde hair and have quote-unquote unnatural eyes, which is a stereotype about people with albinism, who often have really light blue or brown eyes, and some animals even have red eyes. So the members all having blonde hair could be about this. Maybe they want to show these two sides and twist these stereotypes. So while we think that these are the evil servants of the devil, they might be angel-like beings, or the other way around. But again, it plays into this two-sidedness of the MV and the Luniverse in general. I mean, in the past, Luna was also known for working against stereotypes and empowering otherness. And lastly, some more things that I thought about while talking to you guys in the comments. So when I thought about the release date of the Birth MV again, I noticed that it was released on Good Friday. To those who might not know, Good Friday is a Christian holiday. It is the day on which Jesus was crucified and died. After this, his body was brought to a tomb, and a big stone was put in front of the tomb. But when 3 days later some woman wanted to visit the tomb was opened and it was empty. Only 2 light beings were there, telling the woman that Jesus was alive. Then for the next 40 days Jesus stayed on earth and kept on teaching people about God. But then after these 40 days, his rebirth and his ascension to heaven happen, which is why the ascension of Christ is a holiday in some countries as well. So there could of course be a connection of the MV and the story of rebirth in the Bible, since the MV is basically all about the ARTMS members being reborn, in a way just like Jesus Christ. And you could even go ahead and say that the light being in ARTMS MV could be a reference to the light beings in Jesus Christ's tomb. But since the release of the 4th single is on the 10th and not on the 9th, I don't know if this will play a role in the comeback at all. Also, another interesting detail is the fact that this dinner table scene of Hassel looks just a little bit like the Last Supper. And we know that after the Last Supper, Jesus died and then was reborn. So are the ARTMS members also going to be reborn in the next single release? Now onto something a little bit crazy, but I already shared my idea of Hassel drinking blood in my analysis video. I thought about this again after rereading Chainsaw Man in the last few days. So to anyone that doesn't know Chainsaw Man, it is a manga series about devils and devil hunters. And, spoiler warning, at the end of Chainsaw Man Part 1, the protagonist Denji has to devour the evil demon lady Makima. He doesn't want her to be revived, and so he eats her in order for her to be done for good. And then this kind of reminded me of the painting Saturn devouring his son. I tried to censor this as best as possible, to be honest. This painting depicts the father of Zeus, Cronus, and how he devours his children. The painting is called Saturn, but Saturn is just another name for Cronus. He basically was scared of all of his children, since a prophecy foretold one of his children taking his place. And since he also took the place of his father, well, he was scared for a reason. But like it is always with these kind of stories, him trying to prevent his destiny only led to it becoming true. Gaia, the mother of Cronus, took his and Rhea's child away as soon as it was born, and hid it from Cronus. They just let him eat a big stone wrapped in fabric. The child was raised by Amalthea, who can take the form of a goat. Once the child called Zeus was old enough, he defeated his father, and he took his siblings out of Cronus's stomach. Then they were just fine after this and became part of the Olympus. These children are Hera, Poseidon, Hades, Demeter, and Hestia. Well, what matters the most to me is the fact that in this MV we see the goddess separated into 5 pieces, and then we see Hassel sitting at the dinner table with 5 plates. This gave me the idea of the members maybe devouring the goddess to keep her at bay. If Cronus was only able to keep his children from taking away his power by eating them, then what if the ARTMS members also feel like the only way to hold back these prophecies from becoming true is to devour the goddess Artemis as well? But just like Cronus, maybe them eating this goddess to keep the prophecies from coming true is exactly what leads to these prophecies in the first place. So if we think about this less in a one-to-one translation of Greek mythology, but more so as its own story, then what if these drawings are prophecies made about the ARTMS members, and then the light being shows these prophecies to the ARTMS members? Then they try to run away from their fate, but once they notice that this is not working, they decide to do something quite out there, and they devour the goddess Artemis to stop their fate from becoming true. But by doing so, they follow their destiny, just like Cronus did. And maybe this is what leads to their death and rebirth, but now after being reborn, they have this thing inside of them that controls them like a parasite. This would also explain why the quote-unquote family photo has the light being stand behind the members, making it kind of look like a teacher, and this is because this being has powers over the members or controls them in some sort of way. Just like a teacher teaches children, but also has this kind of controlling role. So not only do they feel guilty about swallowing the afternoon sun, ha ha ha, but they also get confronted by the light being that provides them with these visions. So them being reborn could also be part of the Mobius strip looping. Every time they go against their fate, everything is just turned back. Basically like in Limbo, they repeat the same mistakes and get reset. And now in this loop, the goddess decides to feed them illusions, and they start to grow up following their destiny, just like the YYYY members did. But we know from the Hi MV that following your fate also leads to the timeline looping. So maybe Artemis and Loossemble have to stop the Mobius strip from looping together. But who knows? Well, to end this video on a high note, Loossembles' album has 3 versions: the day, night, and dawn version. And to me this would kind of fit into the Greek mythology as well, since there are Helios, the god of the sun, Selene, the goddess of the moon, and Eos, the god of the dawn. So day, night, and dawn. So maybe we're getting deeper into the Greek mythology with the Loossemble release as well, but I guess we will have to wait and see. So thanks for watching, and if you like this video you can like and subscribe, and I will see you next time.